know what you need in your life? A little more rage. Rage makes me happy. Rage gives me joy in my loins. Rage makes me insane. You look like you could use a little rage to improve your life. Don't want to take my word for it? Then listen to this testimony from a certified doctor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Coldfingers, and when it comes to my clientele, I like to get deep inside the issue and spread apart the worry. And there is only one way to do that, my friends, and that is with rage.
Rage! 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 Rage can even work for a gamer like yourself. What do these games have in common? Double Dragon, Final Fight, pussies. The only way you're gonna be able to fight with rage like a man is to play Streets of Rage. Oh! That's right, time for the Streets of Rage!
Every system had to have their own set of beat-em-ups, and Sega was no different. I was still playing Final Fight in the arcades and Double Dragon on the NES, which of course are awesome, but I remember wishing Final Fight would come out for 16-bit consoles, but before it ever did, Streets of Rage hit the scene with a vengeance. It was the first 16-bit game in the genre to catch my eye to finally be on a home system, and I can still remember my reaction. You mean I get to fight bad guys in the street, and it's 16-bit? And there's a hot chick wearing a miniskirt? Actually, on the cover, she's wearing some sort of white outfit that covers most of her body, who's apparently jump-kicking Jason Voorhees. What is that, it's supposed to be a Ninja Turtle? Now that I think about it, how come the cover only shows Axel and Blaze? Where's Adam? What are they, racist? Well, anyway, the storyline is like most beat-em-ups. There's this evil guy named Mr. X who controls a major crime syndicate and is hell-bent on controlling the city. Apparently, this gang is in so deep they pretty much control the police. Axel, Adam, and Blaze are ex-cops who have decided to take on the task of cleaning up the streets. So it's kind of like Batman, but way more ghetto. Besides, who would want to be a vigilante with a bunch of cool gadgets when you can kick ass all while wearing acid-wash jeans? Oh yeah. The first thing I noticed when playing Streets of Rage is that it shares several striking similarities to Final Fight. Just the sounds the characters make, some of the moves, and many of the bad guys all look very similar. When looking at Blaze alone, I swear Sega must have been inspired by Chun-Li from Street Fighter. There are several moves and sounds that seem to have been ripped straight from Street Fighter 2. This lady with the whip, for example, reminds me of a female version of M. Bison. They even have her in black. I guess she's supposed to be from Street Fighter 2, the emo edition. I wish if the game was going to borrow from anything that it would have been from smoother animations. The controls are fine, but the movement when executing any moves is kind of clunky when compared to a lot of other beat-em-up titles. Once again, look at Final Fight. Now look at Streets of Rage. In looking closer at it, my guess is there's less frames to each attack. Not only that, but the movement speed. No matter what character I'm playing as, I'm always constantly squeezing my controller thinking I'm going to somehow move faster. For the record, that doesn't work. You get your normal moves that are of course differentiated between all three characters, but just like in a lot of beat-em-up titles, you can also pick up a wide assortment of weapons to use. And just as you'd expect, they're all pretty helpful and loads of fun to use. Now let's talk about the A button. Something mystical is tied to the A button and I still can't wrap my head around it. So let's review what we already know. These three ex-cops who enjoy hobbies of bonsai trees, video games, and the lambada, I don't know why they bothered telling us that, but whatever, have decided to fight crime. The police are corrupt, so you would think our heroes would have no ties to the police whatsoever. Well, apparently they still have some pull with the previous agency because at the drop of a hat, you can summon a police car to drive up, get out of the car, and then the officer proceeds to nuke the entire screen. What the hell? He doesn't even check to see what the call was for. For all he knows, it could be just some guy got caught loitering and Axel's beating the crap out of him for it. He doesn't even check to see if you're okay, considering he just engulfed you in flames too. He's just like, guess I'm done here, time to get back to my Dragnet reruns. Apparently this mystery cop is flying a painted DeLorean because he's able to instantly appear on a boat anytime you need him, with the car. Makes sense to me, I don't know what your problem is. Even though you have this special move at your disposal, you don't actually have to use it, as you have a lot of other things that you can do to take out the baddies. Axel is the most balanced between speed and strength compared to the other two. Adam is the strongest, and Blaze of course concentrates more on speed. I'd say a little bit too much speed because it's difficult to pause at the right times to see up her skirt.
What? What do you expect? I'm male, that's what I do. If you put a table covered in cocaine in front of Charlie Sheen and he started snorting it, could you really blame him? It's Charlie Sheen, that's what he does!
To me, the hardest part of the whole game are these two clones of Blaze that you fight right before the final boss. They seem to be immune to all of your attacks, and all they do is backflips and fly around all over the place. They're annoying as hell to hit. What makes this even worse is there aren't any life bars for any of the bad guys, so you never have any clue as to how much more punishment they can take. God, the only way I seem to be able to beat them is to start all over again and instead use Adam. So this is Mr. X? And he wants me to join him? You know what? I'm tired of being the good guy. I say yes.
It dropped me 2 levels back? Well, I beat the game, so let's move on to Streets of Rage 2.
The story is, it's been 1 year since the previous events and Mr. X is back. He kidnaps Adam, so Blaze and Axel set out to save him, but they don't do it alone. They end up bringing Max Thunder, who's this roided up ex-wrestler. Sounds more like a porn star name to me. Truthfully, he's so slow that it feels like a punishment to play as him, so you'll more than likely avoid picking him anyway. The other person they brought was this guy. This is supposed to be the kid brother of Adam. Yes, you can fight as a little kid. A little kid who wears skates. Yes, I said a kid who fights crime while wearing skates. And yes, you can pick up lead pipes and knives that you can use to stab people as you play as this kid while wearing skates. What the fudge? I guess it doesn't really matter because his special move is so annoying you'll avoid using him too. So in the end, it's still pretty much focused on the original two, which for the most part play identical to the original Streets of Rage. One thing I can tell you is the graphics definitely got an update. Everything looks outstanding compared to the first one, especially Blaze, and I already know the question that's on everyone's mind, so I'll just answer it for you. No, I am not wearing pants right now. You enjoy that image. Actually, now that I mention Blaze, once again, she's dressed differently on the cover of the box. Why? Were they embarrassed by how she dresses or something? Instead of getting a cop that shoots a rocket launcher, each character instead gets their own special move, which unfortunately drains your health. Speaking of health though, we finally get to see health bars on all of the enemies and bosses this go around, so there's no more mystery around how much punishment someone can take. In addition to playing 2-player co-op, you also get to duel each other. Yeah, it's pretty lame. For the final stage, you'll go through the typical endurance onslaught of bosses like Blanca from Street Fighter 2 and the Ultimate Warrior from wrestling? After that, you take on Mr. X, who doesn't ask any questions this time or put up much of a fight. And then of course you save Adam. And all is right in the world again. That is until Streets of Rage 3 came out. Well, it's really more like Streets of Rage 2.5. You still have Axel, Blaze, Skate, and a newcomer by the name of Zan, who's supposed to be a cyborg or something, which I guess means I should mention the story of this one. So the same gang is trying to take over the city once more, and they're also using a robot army to do this. Zan supposedly turns on this gang and starts fighting crime with Axel and Blaze. Much to my surprise, Mr. X is still behind this. How? Isn't he deader than dead already? I guess I should also mention that there is a code that you can enter to get a 5th character that's basically a boxing kangaroo. Yeah, I don't get it either. Other than that, everything is pretty much identical to the second game with just a few little improvements. For example, though your special moves still take health away, if you wait for this bar at the top to fill up until it says OK, you can do a special move and not lose any of your life bar. Axel's special move is the same, but instead of just hearing a grunt noise, you now hear him say bare knuckle, which is really interesting because in Japan these games weren't called Streets of Rage. Instead they were called Bare Knuckle Ikari no Tekken, which means Furious Iron Fist. I would say the biggest difference between this one and the two previous games is a few very minor puzzles. I almost feel ridiculous even calling them puzzles. Really, it's basically a few areas that are timed where you have to do something really quickly, and if you fail, it's going to mess up the type of ending you're going to get when you beat the game. This, quite frankly, is where the series started to hurt for me. I truly love the other two games, but anytime you introduce something that has a strict time limit, I start to feel a heart attack coming on. Out of all of the times growing up where I destroyed a controller, it was almost always over some stressful time limit in a game. Still to this day, I have never met anyone who enjoys these types of gaming sequences, and I gotta say it baffles me why these are included in games even more today. Thankfully, it's only in 2 sections in Streets of Rage 3, so it's not like you're gonna hate the game over it. However, the second timed area is during the final boss who's distributed bombs all over the city. So can you guess who's Mr. X? If you said the robot, you'd be wrong. It is, and I kid you not, the brain sitting in this container. Yep, that's Mr. X. More like Mr. Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And because I didn't do it fast enough, the entire city is destroyed regardless of the fact that I killed the final boss. Thanks for the heartwarming feelings.
And that's the end of the Streets of Rage trilogy. There was actually a Streets of Rage 4 that was planned for the Sega Saturn that was actually being developed by Core Design, but they wanted to put it on multiple systems. So understandably, Sega hated the idea and pulled the plug. But Core Design renamed the title of Streets of Rage 4 to Fighting Force. So we may as well take a look.
This is the Sony PlayStation version of Fighting Force, and, well, it looks promising. Ugh, my god, what happened? For a PlayStation game, this looks ugly. I realized when gaming first stepped into the world of three-dimensional graphics, they were sort of awkward looking, but damn. I'm guessing if Fighting Force would have been Streets of Rage 4, this probably would have been Axel? The controls are a bit sluggish, but I will admit you do get used to them. You walk incredibly slow, but the good news is you do have a run button. I don't know if I just suck or what, but it seems like all the enemies get in a good punch or kick before I'm able to finish off a combo. The funny thing is your health bar doesn't go down that fast anyway, and it seems there's always some piece of food lying around that you can pick up to replenish your health, so it isn't too difficult. Strangely, the most effective move in the game seems to be this baseball slide. You do have special moves like the spinning jump kick, which is good for clearing out bad guys away from you if you get too crowded. Again, it takes your life bar away though. You can find different weapons, but all of them seem to be nearly impossible to target anything with them. My worst experiences are with any kind of gun. I can't seem to shoot anyone. What is it loaded with, blanks? My god, these bad guys never stop coming. It's so tedious. Without a doubt, all games of this genre are typically monotonous, but this is insane at times. You constantly find yourself yelling at the TV, "More? Are you kidding?" Man, would you die already? Is everything loaded with C4 explosives? Seriously, everything you kick and punch just explodes. The hot dog stand too? I guess when the vendor isn't at a stand, he loads his hot dogs with a claymore. All of the characters you can choose from are pretty much identical except for Smasher. You thought I was irritated at how slow the others are? Take a look at this guy. The only thing you can do is kick, because using your arms will get you killed quicker than taking a bath with a curling iron. Wow, this game actually feels like a chore. Once you beat Zhang, who doesn't even put up much of a fight, he's put in jail and that's it. Somehow, I feel like nothing was accomplished. Critics didn't give this game very positive reviews, and I can see why. I won't necessarily say it's bad. I think it's an okay game, and it might have fared a little better with me if I wasn't expecting another Streets of Rage game. That being said, Fighting Force is extremely tedious and pretty damn lifeless at times. Oh, I hate to say it, but they made another Fighting Force game and took the game in a totally different direction. You can only play as Hawk, and apparently you're now a super soldier. A lot of the things I hated about the first Fighting Force you would think would have been panned out, but no, it's even worse. It is so lifeless and dull. Your enemies often just stand there, or they sneak in one punch and then don't move ever again. At least they die quicker. It's so hard to move around. Just trying to turn around is a challenge. It's like they combined Tomb Raider with Fighting Force, and just like that game, the camera can be a serious struggle too. It seems as though I'm always fighting against it. No, 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 no. Really? Really? You really felt the need to make the character hold a gun this way? What am I, in a DMX music video? Am I a gangsta now? It's not enough that I'm playing a game that clearly a broomstick and a toaster must have tested, but now you're gonna shred any bit of dignity I might have had and make me feel like I'm Ja Rule? I don't think so. I'm done. No thanks. It's no wonder the series got canned! And Sega was worried about Core Design putting their games on other systems? Did they even play these games? Aside from the time sequences, the Streets of Rage trilogy is a pretty awesome series for Sega. I think my only other real wish would have had the opportunity to experience on an arcade cabinet. Well, as it turns out, I'm not the only one that wished that would have happened. Yan of Yancade actually takes the time to hand make and craft to perfection his own arcade machines. I kid you not, the skill involved with his creations is truly unmatched. His most recent venture has been on building a Sega Mega Drive arcade cabinet, which Yancade has been the only place where I've been able to see this done. You may very well be looking at one of the first home arcade cabinet machines based on the Sega Genesis. And that is flat out awesome, and in my book, that makes Yan one bad motherfucker. The episode is over. You can turn this off.